My name is John Ross with Finance on a Budget. I'm here to talk to you about the different ways to maintain a long-term budget starting today. All you need to do is subscribe, give these videos a thumbs up, and ring the notification bell. If you're living month to month and paycheck to paycheck, then you're not saving money. You're stuck. This basically means that you're never going to be able to get ahead. Why? Because you're just repeating the same cycle over and over again. You're not making money that you should save or invest to use for your financial future, to build a business, or to create passive income. Now, I understand where you're coming from because I used to be dollar in and dollar out too. I get it. How can you plan for the future when you're having trouble paying the bills from week to week? It's a valid concern. But when the world went complete panic in 2020, I simply shrugged, adjusted my expectations, and continued on for months during the chaos. The thing is, you really can do it too. So hear me out. To be specific, I retouch wedding albums. While the work is fairly steady, I'm sure you can imagine how seasonal it is. To compensate for the erratic income, I do other types of retouching work, headshots, college brochures, whatever comes my way. Throughout my career, money has never come in steady. It was always feast or famine, lots of work and money, or nothing at all. My wife would always tell me that she had a regular job, so all of our financial problems were completely my fault. I would tell her that she needed a budget, and she would fire back about how we couldn't have a budget when my money was never predictable. I would say she spent too much, she would say I didn't make enough. I just couldn't understand why technically I made more money than she did, and yet we couldn't make ends meet. All I could do was give in, because I was led to believe this was all my fault. In general, videos always seem to offer top 10 tips, and no one really spends 10 to 20 minutes breaking down each step into painful detail so that everyone watching knows exactly what to do, how to do it, or when to do it. But that's exactly my goal. I want to tear it all down for you into bite-sized pieces so that you can understand and apply this wealth of information. I want to offer you various options on things that can save you money and let you choose the path that's best for you. I want to help you make good decisions about how to build up savings fast. The more you make, the easier the savings gets. But we need to get you organized first before we start paying off debt and start saving. One look at your bank account may leave you with the paralyzing fear. How can you possibly find new ways to save money when you can't even handle the old debt? The problem is that most people didn't budget or manage their money in the first place. Many people are just living paycheck to paycheck. They make $1, pay their bills, and whatever's left over gets spent on who knows what. To be honest, I lived like that when I was young. But as I grew older, I became married, bought a house, had a child, and then every dollar simply went into paying the bills. As a freelancer, a light month meant some bills just didn't get paid. When things finally did get critical, I would get lucky and land a big job. That usually made me enough money to break even again. Recycle, repeat. By the end of the year, I made plenty of money on paper, but because I had so many starts and stops all year long, it constantly felt like I was a financial disaster. When you fall into a similar cycle, the money that you are earning today is going directly towards paying past expenses. It's stressful when all your money goes towards covering bounce fees, then late fees, and hopefully you still have enough money left over to cover your current bills. But by the time the month ends, you don't have any positive cash flow that can be used to save and be put aside for future expenses, much less savings. When I was 13, no one taught me anything about making money, saving money, and spending money. For me, it was just mowing lawns, raking leaves, and painting cabinets. Once I made that $20, I hopped on my bike and went down to the store to spend it all on a brand new video game. When I was 23, I made $400, hopped into my car and bought a brand new $200 video card. At 33, I owned a house and all my money went into keeping that money pit going. It was about this point that I was having my first child. I needed to rely on the gifts of others to pay for it all. By 43, I had several rounds of bankruptcy, lost the house, and then lost my biggest client. With 2 car repossessions I still had ahead of me, there was more financial pain to go. Today, I pass on my lifetime of self-inflicted financial wisdom to my son. He's 13. For the past few years, I've kept him in the loop about our finances, good and bad. Once he was old enough to make sense of it, I bought him a book on financing for kids. Then we talked even more about the topics that it brought up. Unlike me, he saves money. He's planning for his first car in a few years. While there are tons of blog posts and tutorials out there giving you money-making life hacks, they're often too generic. too lofty, and unrealistic. What's important is that you go into this with the mindset of putting money aside every single month. And I know how hard that can be. There's just no easy shortcut to financial stability. You can only make sure that you're saving money every day, whether that's actual savings, lowering or removing expenses, or simply paying down debt. Every dollar should have a purpose. Once your money knows what to do, it's easy to manage it every week and every month. I won't lie to you, getting started is tough. At first, you can't even begin to figure out whether you're coming or going. I used to fight with my wife every day about her spending. At first, she had no reins on what she bought, another pair of sneakers or too many groceries. But I simply told her that I would not back down this time. We are going to get out of debt whether she liked it or not. Eventually, she saw that the money was being used to pay our bills early and not paying bounce fees and interest fees. Once she could see the cash flow difference in our life, she was completely on board, although she still complains about not having a personal debit card. But enough backstory. Let me get you started with one of the best ways to save money today, and it all begins with a budget. A budget is basically where you say you're not going to spend more than X amount of money per month. Looking at a lump sum in the bank is hard to separate the utilities from the entertainment, or the gas from the groceries. Even worse is not having any money in there at all. But in getting started, you've got to decide what's realistic for your monthly income and expenses. What do I mean? Well, having a budget is a way to organize your money and have everything planned out at least a month ahead of time. I don't want to say that you need to sacrifice anything. We never did. Today, we still eat out. We just eat cheaper at $30 instead of $60. We still buy Amazon, but we just wait a day or two or three before purchasing anything. It just means that instant gratification needs to give way to delayed gratification. It's mostly about structure. By setting expectations with yourself and your partner, your money should be spent with intention, not reckless abandon. Instead of stopping at the shoe store to spend $80 on sneakers, you should be chipping away at that $450 a month car payment, or not being lazy and going out for a $65 meal. Instead, tackling that $4,000 credit card that's charging you $80 a month in interest. Banks are evil. Don't give them your money. But that's easier said than done, right? Before you dismiss this as another one of those too broad cookie cutter budget hacks to save money, let me enlighten you. I did say that I would give you actionable steps to get started with for your financial freedom, didn't I? To get started, you desperately need to have a budget and know how to manage it. This means your focus should be on bounce fees, late fees, and unnecessary expenses. That's just the first step. Next, you can focus on paying off those low-limit store credit cards and stop pointlessly spending. Once you have some money to work with, you can focus on your past and current bills. As hard as it is to believe, once you catch up and pay everybody that you owe, you can do this an entire month early. Yes, that includes the rent or the mortgage. After that, hammering away at big bills like student loans, car payments, and credit cards. Shockingly, in less than a month, you can be in complete control of your finances. You will finally have the ability to destroy that lingering debt. Personally, it took us about 8 months. Time flies and it wasn't that hard. Again, I'm coming from where you are now. I remember parking my car only to return to find that it was gone. It was pretty easy to figure out what happened. A tow truck spotted my license plate, saw I was late with the taxes, and boom, we were stranded in the middle of the city on the Sunday. My wife and I had to walk across town to the towing yard and pay them $250 in back taxes, plus an extra $150 for towing and storage expenses. This type of wasted money led my landlord to constantly complain about the late rent. Fed up, I sent him a screenshot of 3 bank accounts all in negative. While he stopped complaining after that, it was really my first sign that I was in way too deep with my financial mess. Having the car towed and the electricity shut off was pretty common type of experience for us. But eventually, I took control of the situation because I knew this madness needed to stop. 1 year ago, I had the same amount of monthly expenses that I do today. Very little has changed. The difference is that I'm no longer 3 weeks behind on my rent. In fact, I'm actually 4 weeks ahead. I'm paying off debt faster. I no longer live paycheck to paycheck. Much of my year is actually planned out in advance. I'm always setting aside money for everything coming up, so there are no surprises. After 20 years, I finally bought a new mattress. The big difference is that I bought it with cash, not with new debt. You can have what you want without being enslaved to the banks. It just takes some focus, determination, and a bit of time. It's not all perfect, but the message here is that I have enough money now to put aside and make it through the tough times. Follow my suggestions and you can too. And you'll be surprised to know that one day you'll wake up realizing that financial independence is finally within your reach too. You made it all the way to the end of this video. Be sure to subscribe, give the video a like, and ring that notification bell. Thanks for watching.